Really didn't know who I was going to be or what I was going to do. And I had this big fear that all the best years were already behind me, that I had finished competing. I had won 2 world championships, and who was going to give a shit about any of the things I was doing now, or what did I have to say, or any of that. And through that kind of recalibration process, I looked at perhaps the world championships aren't really that important, but perhaps the skills I acquired along the way are. There's no there. Like, there's no got enough, we get to sit back on and relax. Like, that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
And any time that we're not in pursuit, we're pretty stagnant. I also know that ain't the answer. Most men that I see are sick, they're fucking out of shape, they're miserable, they don't have intimacy in their relationships, they're not excited about their lives. I'm going the other way. And there's nothing I was ever more grossed out by, man, than being around people that were in their 40s and 50s that did nothing but talk about something they did 10 years ago.
I can see the enemy approaching the battleground. Hear the drums pound like a thunder sound loud. I gather up my crowd to prepare them for what's coming.
What's going on? Welcome to Alpha Dad Consulting, a show where we focus on helping dads become better family leaders. I am your host, G. Vidal, and today we're going to have a conversation around transformation and finding your purpose as a man. And in order to have this conversation today, I invited a special guest. He is a 2 times Highland Games World Champion, a successful entrepreneur and public speaker, the founder of the Not Dead Yet movement and brand, and he's the host of the Not Dead Yet podcast. But on top of that, he's a mindset and accountability coach who's made it his mission to help people transform their lives by breaking through limitations and building long-lasting habits. I want to welcome to the show Mr. Matt Vincent. What's going on, brother?
What's up, man? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Man, I was talking to Matt Beaudreau, our mutual friend, and I was like, dude, like, you introduce me to Matt Vincent, man? Like, it'd be cool to have him on the show and kind of lean on his wisdom a little bit. And he was,
and I'm really, really honored. I love getting to do this. I really do like getting to connect with people. I think a lot of the other aspects of the business are part of the devil that's got to get done so that I can do these.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, freeing up the time for sure, man. Dude, so I want to lean on the Not Dead Yet philosophy, right? Mm-hmm. Like the kind of the whole brand that you've built and the movement that you've built around this philosophy. Can you give us the origin story of where all that kind of originated from and how that came to be?
Sure. The brand I started 10 years ago in 2014, I guess 11 years ago now. And it started as Hate Brand Goods was what I had originally named it. I changed the name up a few years back as it just wasn't quite resonating with anymore. And I wasn't competing in strength conditioning stuff anymore. And time for a different chapter of life. And as things grow, I'm not much of someone who stays stagnant in place. And so since it's my brand and my company and realigning it with what I more feel called to now, which would be Not Dead Yet. The origin of that was kind of this chapter between losing identity, my father passing away in 2014, having some injury, and then spending 3 years going through some knee surgeries and finally a total knee replacement and kind of having to refigure out who exactly I am. And more importantly, who do I want to be going forward? And there was a lot of pain and loss around what had been. I mean, losing your father's an interesting thing for any man. Yeah. And that was a big awakening for me. And then that really got tested a couple years later when the knee went bad. And then while the knee was bad and I was really lost, I ended up losing my marriage that I had been in for 13 years. And on the backside of that, it's been the real decision I'm going to put all the value into the life in front of me, not the life that I've already lived. I want to make sure that my actions, my habits, and everything align with the life that I want to create. Not who I've been, not what I've done. That's what's kept that focus going forward so that I continue to make progress and continue to recalibrate and be honest with myself and authentic about what it is that deserves my best effort. And so through that process, man, it was a lot. Really didn't know who I was going to be or what I was going to do. And I had this big fear that all the best years were already behind me, that I had finished competing. I had won 2 world championships, and who was going to give a shit about any of the things I was doing now, or what did I have to say, or any of that. And through that kind of recalibration process, I looked at perhaps the world championships aren't really that important, but perhaps the skills I acquired along the way are. And so how do I look at what skills I acquired, what habits were important to get the absolute best out of me? And then how do I apply those to whatever goals that I choose? What's the direction that I want to take? And make conscious decision about it. And at that point, start editing down what isn't aligned with that and make damn sure all my effort goes in toward what is.
Right there, you're describing a shift in focus, right? Because you're looking at all the things that you've lost, right? And now you're looking at, well, what did I gain in the process, right? Versus that. So was there a specific catalyst or something that caused you to kind of have that sort of mindset shift?
Yeah, I mean, one, I could never compete again. That was dumb.
Okay.
Yeah, so sure. No, I spent 20 years becoming best in the world at a thing I love, and it's done. Yeah. Like, I can't casually do it. And so with the way my knee and hip is now, especially with the total knee replacement and all the other surgeries, I mean, I remember there being this moment where I was like, oh shit, we're not rehabbing anymore. Like, we're never competing again. We're going to have to do something else. The big goal then was just trying to figure out how to get out of pain. And I know that if I didn't solve that problem at some point, I'd probably kill myself. And so if that's what happens for not solving the problem, and I'm honest about that with myself, then I'm willing to throw everything I can at solving the problem. And so that's what I did. It took a minute to mourn the death of that old identity, this old thing that was, and figure out how to move forward with the lessons that I'd learned, diving into my journal, building deeper self-awareness, spending more time trying to figure out what did we actually gain from that chapter of our life, instead of this merit badge of, I got a world championship, because no one gives a shit. And like, that's cool. Like, I don't need them to. I did it for me to begin with. It wasn't for validation. And so if I'm going to continue forward, I want to make sure that I'm in love with whatever it is I'm pursuing now just as much as that. Otherwise, I won't be able to suffer what it takes to get to where I want to go for 10 years. Because that's what it takes.
How important have you viewed it? Like, because you look at your story reminds me of like a lot of like Olympic medalists, right? Like, that have worked so hard to get Olympic medals. And then once they get the goal and they get all, and then, that ends, right? That career ends and that pursuit ends. And then they're lost trying to figure out their identity after all of that. And then they don't know what to do, man. So, and, they don't have their sponsors anymore. They don't have all these things going on anymore. So they have to redefine themselves again. And what do you think about like the constant pursuit of these goals, right? Like, where the goalpost just kind of keeps moving. Like, oh, you look at a gold medalist and it's like, all right, I got 1 gold medal. So I guess the next goal is like, let's get 2 gold medals. Let's get 3 gold medals. So is there ever a point where it ends, or is there ever a point where it's just like goal, like seeking and goal achieving? Is there a point where it's enough, and you just have to be kind of gracious and have gratitude for everything that you've already done and just kind of be there?
So there's a bit of a balance to it, right?
Okay.
Because there's no there. Like, there's no got enough where you get to sit back on and relax. Like, that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
And any time that we're not in pursuit, we're pretty stagnant. I also know that ain't the answer.
Yeah.
I know that I'm miserable in that. I'm not learning. I'm not growing. I'm not expanding myself. Like, I'm not pushing myself into discomfort so that I create adaptation in myself. But if I live in scarcity, which is this belief of, once I acquire X, I'll feel Y. And that ain't never happening. That's never going to kick over. And if you think it's the new house or the raise or the car or whatever the bullshit is, like, it ain't coming with it. All that shit's temporary, man. And so was the thing. So was my career. So was high school football. So was college athletics. So was my first business. They're all temporary. And so appreciating the temporary ride and trying to squeeze as much juice out of it as I can. But the real benefit is in what was gained. looking at the abundance, then having gratitude, like you said, for what did I acquire along the way? What did I learn? Oh shit, what I learned to do is I can focus on a thing, an unreasonable pursuit for 10 years and no one else will care. I don't need them to. What I've learned is that physical discipline. What I've learned is how to take care of myself. What I've learned is how to feed myself. What I've learned is how to continue to show up and analyze how the pursuit is going without having to put some emotional attachment into it. You know, I didn't ever have trouble with, I'm not throwing the hammer far enough because Matt Vincent's a piece of shit. Solve the problem. Why don't the hammer go further? Are your arms long enough? Where's the technique issues? Can I get faster? Am I too strong and slow? Do I need to get stronger in more specific ways? Instead of, it's me. You know, there is some point where you max capability out, but that's the whole pursuit of trying to find. Like, that's why we started the journey to begin with, is to fucking find out. But that pursuit of once I get X, I'll feel Y, like that's the mistake. Yeah. Like, I look at that as you can either be a tourist or you can be a traveler. And the tourist is interested in collecting merit badges because they think that's really impressive to other people. And it's just this, I did this and I checked this box and I got that and I had this experience and I did these things. You know, what'd you learn? What'd you acquire? What changed in you? What adaptation got created? Because the merit badge, no one gives a shit. And there's nothing I was ever more grossed out by, man, than being around people that were in their 40s and 50s that did nothing but talk about something they did 10 years ago. What a fucking bore. And so, like, man, you know, if I'm paying enough attention to what I have gotten good at, it's things I'm obsessed about. And so if something doesn't flip that switch over for me, it doesn't get my full attention. So I don't pretend it will. So I make damn sure that my goals are focused on things I'm in love with, that are worth dying for 10 years, because that's how long it takes.
Yeah, I think that realistic approach is the way to go, man. Because, yeah, I talk to a lot of dads, and, yeah, a lot of those conversations end up being that. Like, you know, they think that the best years already happened, and because now they have kids or now they have, yeah, dude, it's like, no, man, like, you still got a life to live, bro. Like,
it's a full choice.
Yeah.
It's a full choice to decide that or decide the other. Like, neither's right or wrong, man. It's up to you. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's your perspective of that thing that decides your reality. I find that to be a super sad approach, which is why we see men get fat and put on all this weight and just get soft and get domesticated into this point of just mediocrity. Good enough. I'm not interested.
That kind of refusing to settle mentality, man. Like, it's honestly one of the biggest things that sometimes I struggle with like a lot of the buddies and friends that I grew up with. Cause I'm over here doing a podcast. I'm over here, like, right now I'm doing music again, you know, like something that I did. I rapped for 10 years. We were in a hip hop group from like the age of 14 to like 24. And it was some of the best, like, I'll say it right, some of the best times of my life, right? But when I got married, I thought to myself, oh, okay, cool. Now I have to focus and be like serious, you know, career man. I gotta focus on, you know, the wife and do all that stuff. And I gotta be the family man, and I gotta put these things to the side. But dude, you know, becoming a father,
why is it that that's the goal? Why is it that killing the inner child is fucking part of the ride?
Dude, I don't know, man. And I think society has a lot to do with it, man. Like
how long are we told grow up? Mm-hmm. Time to get a real thing. When are you going to get a real job? When are you going to do this? Why didn't you go to college? Why didn't you do this and become fucking just like everyone else?
Yeah.
I got no fucking interest in fitting in.
Yeah.
Most men that I see are sick. They're fucking out of shape. They're miserable. They don't have intimacy in their relationships.
Yeah.
They're not excited about their lives. I'm going the other way. I can look at that. I'm not interested in trying to convince you that my way is better. I just know that looks like shit to me.
Yeah, dude. And that's been the thing, man. Even being an apogee and all these things, man, that I've been exposed to, like guys like yourself, you know, that play the game differently. And it exposes me to that. I'm like, man, like, yeah, why did I decide to kill the inner child? Why did I decide to put all these things to the side? Like, I could still do this stuff. And that's what I've been doing. I just got my first single mixed and mastered last week, which is awesome. You know what I mean? So,
dude,
yeah, dude. So I'm excited about that. That's a pursuit I'm doing. I'm doing the podcasting thing. I'm trying to grow this thing as well, the YouTube channel. Like, I'm doing a lot of things. And then at the same time, I still got my wife. You know, we have an incredible relationship, 14 years now. We've gone through hell and back, and we've been through some stuff on that front as well, which is kind of what prompted me to start this in the first place. And then we got 3 kids, and like, we're doing it, man. We're going. Everything's growing. Income's growing. Everything's growing. All that to say is like, I have that same mentality too. Is like, my best years are yet to come, man. Like, it's not over for me, and I'm going to keep doing and working as hard as I can to make that possible and to make these dreams a reality. And if I don't, oh, well, like, all right, cool. At least my kids saw like, yo, dad went for it. Dad went for it, and he gave it his all, and we got to see that. And then I think that's a big thing, right? Setting that example, not only for your kids, but for other men, like the men that you lead, the people that you get to lead, is like, they see how you live. You're showing them by example, right? That philosophy. So it's powerful, man. So I resonate that with that a lot. I just want to say that.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, man. So you talk a lot about, mindset, right? And what I wanted to get from you is how do you define that word, bro?
I'm not sure I've ever tried to define the word mindset, but we'll give it a rip. I think it's my chosen perspective on any given situation.
I like that. Yeah.
And what I mean there is chosen.
Yeah.
I get to choose. Like, that's the gift of having a consciousness. I choose it. And then I decide what to do with it. And I get to decipher how I feel. I'm not reactionary to my emotions all the time. I want the capacity to feel my emotions at the full spectrum, but I ain't interested in them taking the wheel. I think anger is a really great emotion to be able to have, but I don't need to pair it with the shadow of aggression. I'm okay with feeling loss and sadness, because that's a reflection of how much love I had for a thing. And if I limit my loss and fear and vulnerability, then I'm limiting love. And I ain't interested in that either. But it's up for me to form my mindset. It's up for me to decide what these events mean, because, dude, I don't think anything's inherently important. You're not obligated to do a fucking thing. And if you're not obligated to do anything, not even get up this morning, dude, you don't want to get up. You want to bail on your kids. You want to leave in your car tomorrow and just drive across country and start a new life. You can. There are no physical roadblocks that will stop you from doing that, but you didn't. You chose this. And so if you chose this, go all the fucking way. And that's kind of how I look at things. But if this is what I'm choosing to spend the limited time that I get to exist and have a consciousness, then I'm giving it the full fucking beans. Because either way, man, I'm fucking dead in 30 years. And sometime shortly after that, no one will ever give a shit or remember. And I'm really okay with it. I don't care about legacy. I don't give a shit. I give a shit about making the most of the time that I'm actually in control. I'm not doing this because of what happens after I'm dead.
And that's interesting, man. And then, so do you think that, like, because with all the work that you're doing, like, you're putting out these videos of content and stuff and like books and things like that, like, the content's going to outlive you, right?
It could.
At some point, right? It could. And
it's not the goal.
It's not okay. That's the difference, right? It's not the goal, but it has. But there's an
effect of making good shit.
Yeah,
that's like me trying to like chase happiness. Happiness is a side effect.
Yeah,
chase shit you're enthusiastic about because that makes me happy. What I like is to be in pursuit of things that are hard. I like accomplishing things. That makes me happy. Worrying about this legacy is like trying to fix the side effect. Instead, focus about creating the best shit you can right now. Today. What's the best thing that gets your attention today that deserves all your fucking energy? Do that well enough, the side effects take care of themselves. Like trying to get rich. Rich is a side effect. Become valuable. When you become valuable, the money thing takes care of itself.
Yeah, I often say, like, yeah, you become valuable, or you gain enough skills to become valuable to the marketplace, and the marketplace will definitely reward you for that. But yeah, the pursuit of the money and the pursuit of the happiness, right? Like, yeah, I think it's more fulfillment than anything else. Is like, what actually is fulfilling you, right? Like, what actually are you pursuing that's actually causing fulfillment? Because happiness, man, I'll give you one simple example from this week, man. Like, I was aiming for 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, right? And it just happened this week. Like, it happened on Tuesday. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. And I'll tell you how long that happiness lasted. Exactly. I was like, cool. It was a goal for a while. I hit it, and I was like,
but that's another one too, man. That like I think is a pretty good fuck up. is if you're going to pursue this thing and make the most of it, and that's life, that's any goal, whatever it is. Like, it's fucking hard, dude.
Yeah. It's
really hard. It takes a lot of effort for a long time. And if you're going to get it done, that means you're the one who's going to bear all the fuck ups.
Yeah.
Because they're only on you. But if I'm the one who has to handle all the fuck ups, then the wins are mine too. And how I choose to celebrate those is mine too. So celebrate that fucking 1,000.
Yeah.
It didn't change your life, but it knows that you're going the right way.
Yeah.
And at least acknowledge it as such.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Fuck, man, I'm into celebrating as many wins as possible.
Yeah.
I want to know how fucking great things are. I want to know that I'm constantly chipping away at it. But if I just live in this world of problem solving and threat detection, and I don't ever give myself credit for what's actually been done, then at some point, why would we want to continue? The fuck's the point? Every time we hit a goal, we never gave a shit to begin with. Why is this one going to be different? It's not. My perception of it gets to be. I'm the one who gets to be excited about it. I didn't do it for them. And if I'm doing it because once I get that 1,000, it's going to be this, or once I get 10,000, it's going to be this. There's the flaw in the thinking. It's not the thing you're pursuing. It's your inability to manage it.
No, I received that, man. And that's honestly, yeah, it was like a happy moment, right? Telling my wife about it and all that. But I looked at it as my perspective on it was, hey, this is confirmation that it's working. Right. Like that the pursuit and everything I've been working towards is working. So it's a confirmation and it's a reassurance that I'm going in the right direction. And that's it. And it's just, hey, don't stop. Just keep going. Keep doing what you're doing. That's it. Yeah.
For as long as it takes.
Yep.
The problem is having some assumption about how long it takes based on someone else's journey. It got shit to do with you.
Very true, man. Dude, so you talk about radical accountability. And I find this interesting. So this philosophy, like, what does it look like in your daily life? Can you share a real world example of how radical accountability looks like in your life?
So kind of an easy way to break it down would be like, I'm not interested in giving the keys over to anybody else, not to my emotions, not to my feelings, not to how hard my life is or the mistakes or any of this type of shit. And so now if I borrowed your truck, and I got into a wreck, man, I'm going to fix it, right? I'm accountable for my decisions. I was borrowing it, even if the wreck's not my fault. It was under my watch. I'll take care of it. If I was to let you borrow my truck and you got in a wreck, I'm going to fix it. Because I let you borrow my truck. I ain't never a fucking victim. Now, what I can learn is have boundaries and say, he's probably never borrowing my shit again. Maybe we don't need to be friends if he's not the type of dude that steps up and wants to solve the problem. He's more than welcome to help me cover it.
Yeah.
But I take it on and I don't expect it. I'm not assuming that it's going to go a certain way. I'm not letting some unspoken expectation turn into future resentment. I'm going to choose to take it on me and keep the ball in my court where I'm the one making decisions. I'm okay with failure. I'm okay with fuck ups. What I'm not okay is pretending that you're standing in between me and the happiness and the life I want. Because you're not. There's somewhere along the lines I made a choice. And what can I learn from that choice? It is simply data to analyze to make better ones in the future. And I hold myself to that line with my goals. Why aren't they getting done? Like, why didn't we sell $10 million a year in apparel instead of $2 million? Why? Because I'm not a good enough business owner, man. Because I can't figure it out. That's it. There isn't anything else. Other people figured it out. I didn't. That's okay. I figured out a lot, you know what I mean? But it's on me. Why am I fat? It's on me. Why I'm in a job I hate? It's on me. Why don't I have any skills at 40 to get into a new career or try something else? That's on me. Why can't I communicate? That's on me. It's all on me. But so are the wins. Yeah,
what I'm hearing there, man, is kind of like the extreme ownership concept, right? I've heard Jocko kind of mention that as well. And it's, that it makes a whole lot of sense, man. When you approach that and you don't have those assumptions of like these expectations that you have, like, oh, you know, like going back to the truck example you just gave, oh, you know, this dude borrowed, he wrecked it. He needs to fix it. And he needs to like, you come in with the expectation of like, all right, cool, I'll take care of it. But if he does, and if he, then he shows you the,
then we can continue being friends.
Yeah, absolutely. There you go, man.
I don't have anyone in my life that I question the type of person they are.
Yeah.
And
Watching the company you keep. Yeah.
But that's what deciding what boundaries are. The boundaries aren't enforced by you telling people how to change. Boundaries are drawing the line in the fucking sand. And if people choose to cross that line, you make note. And realize that's probably not somebody I choose to have access to my energy.
Yeah. I love that, man. So one of the things that, you work with a lot of people with breaking limitations, right? Like these limiting beliefs and all that. So how do you approach that, man, initially? Like if somebody has a limiting belief around, let's say their capability to learn a new skill, to get a better job, or to start a business or something like that. Like, where do you start with them tactically on that? How do you
Start
break
asking
that down?
a lot of questions?
Okay.
You know, so for example, why can't you learn a new skill? Do you not have the ability to learn? Or are you not willing to put in the time? Because those are different problems.
Yeah.
Because then say that I don't really want to change. That's okay too. You just can't have it both ways. The limiting belief is you convincing yourself that you can't learn. When in fact, most of your triggers and habits and things that run on autopilot were learned. Most of them came from whatever culture, society, family, household, income level, religious background that you were dropped into that you didn't choose. And lots of programming came around it. How did your parents handle intimacy, talk about finances? How did they discuss problems? Where were they emotionally? Were they emotionally intelligent? Did they stifle things? All that shit was learned. Getting your eyes on it and having self-awareness of whether or not I want to continue running that autopilot into my future is up to me. But if I want to rewire it, then I've got to start getting the repetitions in, because that's the only way we learn. It's by doing over and over and over again until the autopilot slowly rewires. You know, fuck having that limiting belief of I can't do this. Why don't we go find out instead? Why don't you go prove you can't do it? Give me 10 years of honest give a fuck, or you'd rather just stay here. Got it. Totally cool. You're not obligated. Just don't say you're unhappy and you want change. So it's finding those things.
Yeah.
Being able to put our eyes on them. And I don't even think it's really necessary to figure out exactly where they came from or why or what trauma they're locked in around.
Yeah.
It's simply acknowledging that I don't want to continue having that habit. Let's do something about it. And what I've noticed is a big difference is we're not going to shame and guilt ourselves into a life of happiness and abundance. So when we recognize these habits that are running on the autopilot system of our self-belief, self-doubt, how we speak to ourselves when we're frustrated, how we accept love, how we turn down compliments, how we don't back ourselves, we just have to catch ourselves doing it. You just have to go, fuck, I'm doing that thing. And not get shitty with myself for a week over it. You know, if I'm trying to change my diet, right? Because I never learned how to feed myself properly. And that's what that means. Like if you're fucking fat and overweight and you're in your 40s, like weird. You haven't learned how to feed yourself in 40 years. That's amazing. Probably should learn. That's all it is. It's learning. Now you can be embarrassed that you don't know how and you want to complain that you don't know what it is. But the truth is you just don't know how to feed yourself. And so to go forward, I'm not saying that we're going to never make mistakes again. Of course we are. Like perfection's not even part of the deal. Because what we're looking at is a timeline between now and when you're dead. This isn't some temporary turnaround that you get to become that person again. This is the outcome of those habits. If you want them to be different, we have to have new habits. And so instead, doing the best I can and slowly adjusting and slowly making progress over the long term. And then when I do find myself slipping up and dropping back into the old autopilot, it's simply being able to catch it. And instead of shit on myself for 2 weeks out of shame and be like, well, I already blew the diet. Now I'm just going to eat bad for the next weekend. I'll start Monday or I'll start on the 1st. Yeah. Stop then. Catch it. And thank yourself for catching it. Thank yourself for noticing it. Thank yourself for knowing that you can make a better choice. Thank yourself for falling in love with the life that you want to have instead of who you've been. And change it then. And that way, you know, I don't care what the goal is, man. We're probably going to have 10 fuck ups this year on the way there, but I don't have to give each one of those 10 extra days. I'd rather have 10 days of fuck ups instead of 100 on 10 fuck ups, right? I can eliminate it from the back end as soon as I can catch myself doing it. Notice I'm doing it without judgment and just get back on course. The longer I stay on course, the longer I chip away at it, and the longer I continue to refine the habit, the more progress I make. There's never going to be a magic moment of there.
Yeah, of arriving, man. Like, yeah, that's powerful, man. With respect to the habit formation and, you know, and how important that is to achieving any goal, right? And how important that is to any type of transformation, getting rid of those old limiting beliefs that you, and you're right, man. Like we grow up with whatever beliefs, you know, our parents instill in us from when we're little. And especially those first 7 years are so pivotal for the programming that we take into adulthood, man. And
most of the time we have parents that have no idea their shit's fucked up.
Very much so. Yeah.
Like that's okay.
And yeah,
I think there's really important parts of life. One, to realize when you're parents and you actually look at them and get to see they're humans who didn't have any clue what they were doing.
Yeah.
It's also okay to have another moment when you realize they're basically morons.
Yeah.
They have so little resource and information compared to what we currently have.
Very much so. Yeah.
And then they were raised by a generation that actually came out of scarcity.
Yeah.
We have different problems to solve. That's what progress looks like.
Yeah. It makes me think a lot about just even my own programming and the things that I've taken into adulthood and the stuff that I'm trying to shed now. You know what I mean? Like just these limiting beliefs, man. And
like what?
Well, I mean, right now, dude, it's been like one big thing that I'm changing right now is my weight. I lost first year of Apogee, I lost about 45 pounds or so.
Right on.
You know, so and then the second year I just maintained, man.
Okay.
You know, I just maintained and I didn't and right now towards the end of this last year, I ended up messing up on the diet, like you said, learning how to feed yourself, right? And I messed up when the holidays came around and I was like, oh, okay, cool. This looks good, you know, and then I ended up gaining like another 14 pounds again, you know, from that. So now I'm on that now, again, coming to that realization. And I did the same thing that you said, like, you know, you beat yourself up and you're like, well, I already jacked it up, right? So let me just keep jacking it up more. And just this last week, I joined a jiu-jitsu studio. And I'm doing like a challenge with them, and they're literally walking me through nutrition plans and all. So it's all like all encompassing kind of a fitness thing. And that's what I'm doing right now. And I'm literally learning the nutrition side of things. And I'm like, now it's making more sense to me in terms of macros and all these things. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like this is what it wasn't clicking into me. You know what I mean?
Portion control and everything.
Portion control.
Right?
Absolutely.
And a big part of that is trying to realize, like, throughout the course of our life, man, like I'm just trying to figure out the best operating for my machine, for me, for what I want to accomplish.
Yeah.
I know how I need to eat if I want to be the absolute strongest I can be, and it's not how I currently eat. I have no interest in continuing to pursue that goal. I found out. And so if what I care about now is longevity, and I care about how I feel, and I care about the way my brain works, which means I want to be proud of the way I look in the mirror so that I can eliminate that chatter every day that's telling me, why am I so fat? Like that's where I really want the freedom from, is that noise. So do the work, right? Learn how to feed myself. Maybe be able to say that I want to stop feeling that way more than I want these fucking snacks. And every time we get a chance to make that decision, man, the timeline splits. You either get to decide, I want to be who I've been, or I want to be who I want to be. And every time you're at one of those decisions, we have to try to make them more intentionally. The autopilot is what keeps us where we were.
Do you think the autopilot, like the shifting, like now that you've done these habits for so long, right? Like is now your autopilot and your subconscious, like does it default to these new habits and these new, like
in a lot of areas?
In a lot of areas. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah.
But so let's look at like the autopilot or like the subconscious, right? Yeah. And so we're going to look at that as this elephant.
Okay.
And so the elephant doesn't change direction very quickly. The elephant is like driving a shipping container boat that makes these long gradual turns. It doesn't do hard 90 degrees or 180s. You, the decision maker, the conscious part of you, the rider, to get the elephant to turn, like you have to slowly seduce it over and learn new things and teach it that it's safe, because it just wants to continue on the path that it knows, because what it knows is whatever we've been doing hasn't killed us, which makes it acceptable. We're not dying. It's not that bad. Especially if we're trying to go from good to great. To go from bad to good, man, there's always fire at our heels. That'll make us make decisions. Yeah. I get why people lose weight when they weigh 600 pounds. Mm-hmm. But it's about choosing to keep that extra 20 off is a different decision. So as we slowly work the elephant to one way, and it does get better and the path becomes more familiar. But every time along that time, anytime that we do something so far out and push that boundary that the subconscious gets spooked. And you can see that in conversations when you get triggered. And all of a sudden that old motherfucker pops back out. Or I'm too stressed and now I'm looking for food, or whatever it is. Anytime that we hit a new level of discomfort that we're not quite prepared for, the elephant returns back to the old path. That is how it's programmed, because we're so far out of comfort, the autopilot kicks back on. So it's on us to catch it soon enough. The elephant is going back. Like, just deal with that knowledge that that's what's going to happen if you're trying to make progress, is occasionally you overshoot it and it's going back to the old path. But you're the one who has to catch it faster and again, convince it to come back over. And every time it gets easier. And you can catch it soon enough that it doesn't get all the way back to the old path. But it has to be a conscious decision to continue to catch it. It's become easier with nutrition and diet because I don't keep bullshit in my house. That I intermittent fast every day. I know what my morning routine is and exercise and movement plan is. I know how I want to feel because I've felt good for long enough now that when I eat like an asshole, I feel like shit. But it takes a long time. I started losing weight in 2017 after the knee went bad. And I'm down 100 pounds from my biggest. Yeah. I've never put it back on. Incredible. Why would I ever give back the ground I make up?
Yeah. Congrats on that, man. That's an incredible feat as well. You can imagine, when you look back at some of those pictures, like even right now, like even with the small transformation I've had, like I look back and I'm like, damn, like why did I let myself? Yeah.
And dude, I could justify it. I was trying to be as big and strong as possible. Yeah, that's
right? True. You're in Highland Games, yeah, for sure.
It wasn't hard for me to be 318 pounds. It wasn't like it's much harder for me to weigh this than it was to weigh that.
Okay. I gotcha.
I was happily eating and existing that way, eating and drinking and lifting my ass off.
Yeah.
But once I wasn't going to be strong anymore, then I was just going to be fat. And that's not the place I want to fall into. Yeah. Because then that means a lot of what I accomplished wasn't discipline. I just got lucky. Found things that lined up, and I know that ain't true. So how do I apply the same thing that made me great in one area to the thing that's next? Like, okay, we have to change our diet forever, not a temporary switch. It's a bummer that we think feeding ourselves in a healthy way is a punishment. It doesn't say a lot of great things about the culture we live in.
No, not at all, man. And ready, especially with the food that's just readily accessible to us, like all the time, right? Like
all of it's readily accessible. It's a choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can't blame capitalism. That's the God we've chose to pray to in this country. And until we choose something else, that's what it's going to be. I want more options on the table. I'm not trying to take Oreos off the shelf, man. I have self-control.
Yeah.
Your user error of not being able to manage the foods that you put in your mouth doesn't mean that I want the same people who I don't trust to begin with to decide what I get to eat. I can go choose to get the organic. I can go choose to get the things that make me feel better. I can choose to buy rice and rotisserie chickens instead of going for convenience. That path has not served me well. Why would I continue?
Yeah, we've seen that here in our household, man, as we've learned more about like nutrition and stuff like that. And my wife has, she's gone into now, like we don't buy bread anymore, and she like makes her own now with organic ingredients and all that. Like she's been doing like sourdough and all this stuff. And on top of that, we've changed our nutrition for our kids, man. Like, because we would notice when they would eat certain things as well as certain snacks and things like that that are quoted as healthy and all that. They acted out like they had certain behavioral issues, man. And now, like, as we've changed their diet and nutrition, like, things have changed. You know, now they're a little bit more composed, a little bit better. And it's just, it's crazy to think, you know, like, crazy to think how long it took for us to understand that, you know, but now that we do, we have a different appreciation for that. And we bump heads with a lot of our family members and stuff, you know, like parents and all that as well. Cause
don't take criticism from people you don't ask for advice.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that.
The best response I've ever figured out.
I'm with you.
Right on.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
I hear what you're saying, but I don't agree, and I don't have to continue this conversation.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, that's it, man.
What about this and this and this? Right on.
Yeah.
I don't fucking care that you disagree with me.
Yeah.
You don't get a choice. I'm not giving you a vote.
Yeah, that's exactly right, man. And that's how we do it, man. And then I think that also, you know, it'll cause certain divisions and things like that, you know, but Great. I mean, it is what it is, man. Like,
Great. I'm not interested in having those type of people around me.
Yeah.
Interesting choice to make. Have a good one.
Love it, man. I love it. Dude, so one of the things I want to lean on as well, man, is kind of your entrepreneurial journey, man, because you've built 8-figure businesses, right? And so with all these gurus and everything that's out there, you know, you see it a lot, right? Like, I'd like to lean in on your wisdom in terms of, you know, what's some unconventional lessons that you learned from that journey that most of these gurus and stuff that's on there, they don't talk about?
So I think a lot of them do, man. I think anyone that's made it that long and has done a thing for 10 plus years, they'll say the same shit. It's all consistency. It's all discipline. It's all willing to follow your unreasonable path to wherever it's going to go. I mean, the big difference in that entrepreneurial journey and anything is the staying power.
Yeah.
It's willing to show up and do it for 10 years. But everyone wants complete and immediate, like, gratification for everything they do. Oh, I'll start this coaching business and, like, I'll get rich. Right on.
Yep.
You know, if you want to start a coaching business, you need to be someone's end goal. Otherwise, who gives a shit what you have to say, right? And if you want to teach people about business, maybe run some businesses. But you have to have done the thing. There has to be the time with hands-on experience they got learned. It's not simply just regurgitating shit from books. Like, if you can't put it into practice, I got no interest in learning from you.
Yeah.
I can read. I don't need you to regurgitate shit to me. And if you're not someone out there learning stuff and trying it and putting it into practice and deciphering it for yourself, I don't even trust your filter of learning what's good information. So, I mean, the other thing I know that maybe I haven't heard any of the gurus say or other people, or that's not true. I'm sure I've heard it. Shit doesn't get talked down. Nobody running a better business than you is going to talk shit on yours. One, they're not paying attention. They're focused solely on their thing. That's the difference. They're not looking for validation from it. They are focused on building their thing. And I'm sure they live in plenty of comparison, just like you, to what other people above them are doing. Yeah. Because why would we look backwards at that? There are plenty of people that ain't never going to even enter the arena that we don't consider ourselves ahead of. And we are. But there's a variety of people. So, I mean, like, where's the limit as an entrepreneur? Is it somewhere between me and Elon? Like... So there's an infinite amount of ways for this to go well. It's up for you to decide, is it the success you want? And if it isn't, rebuild. You know, I think Tim Ferriss covers a lot of that really beautifully in 4-Hour Workweek about trying to build businesses and then realizing he had built a trap to where he was working 80 hours a week again. Yeah. And that isn't what he wanted. He's not obligated to keep doing it just because it's working.
Yeah. And that's I love that you said that, because that's a lot of, the gurus nowadays, that's how they sell it, right? Like, you know, fire your boss, quit your 9 to 5 and do all this and that. Go retire on a beach, right? And your business is going to run itself and you're going to make all this passive income. And it's like, it sounds sexy. Exactly.
Just find me one person that's actually doing that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
One, just fucking bring me one.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So you're selling vapor. It ain't real.
Yeah, man. And even I see, you know, a lot of those entrepreneurs that are saying those kinds of things and they're selling the dream like that. Like they've done like what Tim Ferriss just said, right? Like they've built businesses and they're reporting to an office and they're going like it's just their business and their company and their employees, but it's the same thing.
Well, if they're sitting on a beach, then they're not trying to teach you how to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if you've hit that number, if you've accomplished that thing and you don't need the financial part, like then you can pursue what you want.
Yeah.
And continue to be valuable. Like I said, money's a side effect. Focus on providing value to who you want to help.
The many people that you've coached, man, the ones that you've seen be effective and like their lives have actually transformed and all that. What have you seen as kind of like the common through line that you see them? Is it just that vigorous consistency, or is there something else that like, do they have a drive that others don't, you know? I'm just wondering and see if you have something there, like a through line that you see for guys that are going to be successful in your programs versus ones that are not.
So 2 parts to that.
Mm-hmm.
It is fully embracing the fact that it's consistency over intensity.
Okay.
Like that has to be a deciding factor in whatever it is we want to accomplish. And like I keep saying, right, that like we have to remove the expectation of how long you think this is going to take since you've never done it before, which means you don't know shit. Admit that, and that's cool. So let's just start making change and prove that progress can happen. And then let's extrapolate at what that progress looks like in 10 years. And is that where we want to be? Because what I'm trying to do now at 42 is I don't know, like I can't explain to 32-year-old me what my life currently looks like, right? Like if I had to get a chance to chat with him and what his goals are and everything, like how do any of those goals get me here? They don't line up.
Yeah.
And so like, I don't know what 52-year-old me wants. And I'm done pretending I do. What I do know is that a healthier version of him that's fit, that is financially stable, that is in solid relationships, that is living authentically, that has continued to learn and pursue hard things, he can make whatever choices he wants. And that's what I want, because I want as many options for my future to do what I want to pursue what I'm interested in. And so it's being consistent over the intensity thing. Like there's no one day effort that's going to get this shit done. You can't fast for 72 hours and lose weight over the course of the year. You can't go to the gym one day a month for 10 hours. I'd rather you show up for 30 minutes every day. You know, it's constantly being able to move the needle and chip away at it, whether that's 10 minutes or an hour. Like, can you just tell me that you gave me your best? Or did you rely on this idea that if it didn't look perfect, I'd said no? If I didn't have 90 minutes to go have this ideal workout, so I didn't go. And so now I just don't ever go because I don't really have 90 minutes because I've made up a story and a narrative around what the perfect workout would have to look like to make change. And none of that's true. That's getting caught in your own bullshit, and that's your own limiting belief. The other part of that with why the clients have success, right, is I'm not cheap to work with. And what I have found is that anyone looking for free answers won't follow through anyway. Like, let me get this right. The thing that you need to change your life also needs to be free. Best of luck finding that Venn diagram, man. Best of luck. But what I know is people who are willing to invest in themselves show up because it hurts. Because I'm willing to sacrifice because I want the change long term. My clients that pay the most are my better clients. They're consistent because it matters to them. They understand the value of actually having coaching. They understand the value of finding peers. They understand the value of what networking does when you get yourself into a group of people that are all going for it. Yeah. I would say those two are probably the biggest.
No, that makes a lot of sense, man. Yeah, definitely the consistency part, and then the value that they like, how much they value it, right? Like the investment that they make, and you're right. Like across, even I look at my history, and any time that I've invested in a coaching opportunity or program and all that, like I've gone all in because I've invested in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like I'm invested.
It's important.
It's important. Absolutely.
And then, man, One of the things that cracks me up the most is people that'll contact and they're ready to change and I want to make these moves and I'm ready to do it. And then they can't get permission from their wife or whatever it is to actually do it.
Yeah.
You know, that wife ain't the problem. The problem is your inability to follow through so many times in the past that they don't trust you.
Very much.
That's on you. That's on you. But at some point, you're the one who's got to make the decision that says, I'm doing this. And I'm going to follow through. And take ownership for it. Otherwise, stay where you are and allow yourself to be happy in the mediocrity and quit torturing yourself for it. You just can't have it both ways.
Yeah, that's a huge one. That's a huge
You're allowed to be okay with it.
Yeah. But will you?
You don't
right?
have to constantly torture yourself for wanting more. You just can't say you want more and then not do shit about it.
Yeah. That's it right there, man. You know, what it also makes me think about, man, is this is a mistake that I made in my marriage early on. And it's really what almost ended us in divorce, is that just in our second year, is that I made her my purpose. I made her, like, I put her on this pedestal and it was like, everything was about her, making her happy and making her this and that, you know? And then when we got married, I was like, cool, man. Like, I got the trophy wife. Like, so let's put this thing on cruise control and we're good till death do us part. No big deal. Right. And dude, and I became like this freaking I became like a parent, you know, like I was like trying to be her dad. I trying to be her, you know, controlling what she did and all this and that. And then I also stopped doing all the things like when we were dating and all, like I stopped doing everything. Cause I'm like, she's already mine. Right. She's not gonna go anywhere.
Interesting thing we do.
Yeah. Dude, you fall into this false belief. And
no, it is your responsibility to stay being someone that your partner wants to fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yep.
It's ambition. It's drive. It's follow through. It's confidence. Yep. And you don't get confidence without getting your ass kicked.
Yeah. It's
being authentic. It's knowing who you are. It's being consistent. It's damn sure not trying to parent someone who doesn't need parenting. I'm not interested in my wife making decisions for me. So why the hell would I make them for her?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I fucked that up in my first marriage, man.
Yeah.
And currently, I caught myself starting to do it when I got into this one. And I caught it.
That elephant
I remember
you were talking
journaling about it and talking about it. And I caught it. And I remember saying, like, this fucking woman hasn't needed a single goddamn thing of your help for the last 34 years. Why are you trying to fuck that up? Be a fan and be support until she needs help. But if she ain't asked for it, be support. Trust maybe she can solve her own problems.
Yeah,
I'm not interested in creating dependence on me.
Yeah.
I want her as excited about her life as I am mine. I'm not looking for an accessory. I want a partner.
That's powerful, man. Yeah, and dude, that resonates a lot because that was the shift in me, right? When I remember having a conversation with my mentor at the time. I call him Pops, and he told me, he's like, dude, he's like, well, he said, son, you know, like you can only control what you can control, you know, and that's you, man. Like if you get really good at controlling yourself, you know, then the whole world, everybody around you has to respond to that. You have to respond to
how much is really out of your control.
Yeah, dude.
It's basically fucking everything.
Yeah, it's almost everything. Yep,
right?
Absolutely.
Like I can choose how I react.
Yeah.
How I follow through. I can choose what I consume, both food, media, sound, people around me, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's about it. That's about it. Things I can't control. How my gut digests food. Right? Like you can't even control all the shit happening in you.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Do you think you're going to manage someone else's?
Yeah.
Fuck, man. Get out of your way. Worry about the 4 or 5 things that you actually have any input in, which is my actions and my reactions. It's my mindset. It's my perspective. It's being able to stay on top of all that. My consistency, my discipline, my decision of what my goals are and my direction. Where I choose to give my energy away. It damn sure isn't going to some guy who can't drive in traffic today. He doesn't get any of my fucking energy.
Yeah.
I can get there when I want to get there. I ain't in a hurry.
Love that, man. I love that. Bro, I'm going to hit you with the last two questions, man. Let's play out a scenario. This is a question that I always ask. Let's pretend, you're coaching a dad and you're coaching them on being the family leader, right? The leader of what traits do you think that man needs to embody, given your experience and working with so many men, for him to be an effective family leader, a good family leader?
Consistency for one.
Okay.
Over everything else. It needs to be consistent. Because if you're consistent and people know how you react and they can trust that you're not going to operate out of emotion like a child, then they're safe to be them. And that creates vulnerability, and vulnerability creates intimacy. And that connection creates trust. And if you're going to be a leader, trust is necessary. It's not about delegating. It's about actually leading and walking the walk. So, I mean, that's what I think is probably the most important characteristics, is being consistent and being disciplined and being able to not be reactionary to feelings so that you can manage shit.
Yeah.
I'm not going the way toward less stress. Maybe let my kids see me whenever I'm stressed out. Take 10 deep breaths. Maybe let my kids see me get into a journal so I figure out my thoughts. Maybe let my kids realize that dad doesn't sit around looking for distractions all afternoon. He has things that he's in love with doing.
Yeah.
Maybe realize dad's the one not eating cake at every birthday party, that he's not drinking anymore. Hell, let him see you change and grow and continue to develop.
I love that, man. That's freaking powerful. Brother, and the last thing, man, is tell us about what you got going on right now, man, and where can we go to support you? I know you, Ryan Mickler and Larry Hack, like you guys got the Forge coming up, so if you can tell us.
I think that's kind of shifted gears a little bit.
Oh, that's it? Okay, gotcha.
For myself, I've got men's retreats coming up later this year here in St. Louis. If anyone's interested in reaching out, shoot me an email, mattvincent.net, or hit me up on Instagram at Matthew P. Vincent, or notdeadyet_life is the coaching group. I have some more public speaking, and I'm going to be leaning into that line of work, which I really, really like to do. I am wrapping up a recent book I finished and getting the audiobook done so that I have those type of things to go together. And then travel, just continuing to travel and explore and do all the things that kind of give me the opportunity to shift my perspective so that I have something to bring back and actually talk about.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Guys, go follow Matt. He's doing incredible things. Like he mentioned the tourist versus the traveler thing earlier. He's definitely a traveler, man, and he picks up so many things. And as he travels with your wife, right? You guys are always going together. Yeah, man. I love
as
it,
much
dude.
as possible. Whether that's international stuff we do, or I've just spent the last year building out a van so that I can be on the road where I want to be.
Dude, that's awesome, man. Brother, thank you so much, man, for this, and thank you for this opportunity and for all your time and your wisdom that you shared with us here today.
No, G, thank you, man. I really appreciate it as well.
1, 2, 3 actions I didn't meet. 4, 5, 6 fear and silence begin to mix. 7, 8, 9 the thought of being emotionless started taking over my mind.